The wrestling world was shaken to its core this week. News broke that Mike "IRS" Rotunda, one of the most respected names in WWE history, has been placed in hospice care at the age of 67. For millions, who grew up watching him bring both laughter and fear to the ring, this update hit hard. Messages of love, support, and heartbreak flooded social media the moment the news surfaced. Wrestlers, fans, and industry veterans began sharing memories of a man who wasn't just a performer, but a mentor, a father, and a friend. Mike's brother-in-law and longtime tag team partner, Barry Windham, revealed the heartbreaking update in a recent interview, saying simply, "It's kinda tough right now. Mike is in hospice." Just those few words were enough to silence an entire community. A reminder of how fragile even the toughest warriors can be. But for fans who watched him rule the squared circle for decades, Mike Rotunda's story is far more than just tragedy. It's a legacy built on grit, family, and unforgettable moments. And this chapter, though painful, might just show the world what true wrestling brotherhood really means. But before we get there, let's go back to where it all began, to the man behind the legendary IRS persona, Asterisk. Long before he became known as the sharp-tongued taxman of the WWE, Mike Rotunda was already building his legend in the ring. A natural athlete from Syracuse University, he entered the world of professional wrestling in the early 1980s, a time when characters and raw athleticism defined the sport. Fans first saw his technical brilliance when he teamed up with Barry Windham, forming one of the most successful duos of their era. Together, they won multiple tag team titles and earned the respect of both fans and peers. Their chemistry was unmatched, the perfect blend of skill, charisma, and trust. But it wasn't until Mike reinvented himself as Erwin R. Shyster, or simply IRS, that he truly became unforgettable. Dressed in a white shirt, red tie, and suspenders, he lectured the audience about paying their taxes, and then made his opponents pay inside the ring. His smug attitude, sharp promos, and incredible ring psychology turned him into one of the most entertaining villains of the early 90s. Teaming up with Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, Mike formed the infamous Money Inc., a duo that dominated tag team wrestling and clashed with icons like Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake. Every time IRS entered the arena with his briefcase in hand, fans knew they were in for a show. Yet behind the heel persona was a man deeply respected by everyone backstage. Quiet, humble, and professional, Mike was the kind of veteran younger wrestlers looked up to, the kind who led by example, not ego. Even decades later, his influence could still be felt through the stars he helped shape, and, of course, through his own children, who would go on to carry the family name into a new generation of wrestling greatness. But as much as his legacy shines in the ring, it's his family story, one filled with triumph and heartbreak, that truly reveals the heart behind the legend. Asterisk Wrestling wasn't just Mike Rotunda's career, it was his family's heartbeat. Born into a legacy of athletes and performers, Mike built a dynasty that carried the Rotunda Windham name across generations of wrestling greatness. Married to Stephanie Windham, the sister of his longtime tag team partner Barry Windham, Mike's life was deeply tied to one of wrestling's most storied bloodlines. Together, they raised 3 children, Windham Rotunda, Taylor Rotunda, and Mika Rotunda, all of whom grew up surrounded by the energy of the wrestling world. His sons, of course, became household names in their own right. Windham, known globally as Bray Wyatt, redefined modern wrestling with his eerie charisma and psychological storytelling. His character blurred the lines between fiction and reality, capturing fans' imaginations like few ever have. And Taylor, who performed as Bo Dallas, brought his own brand of charm and energy to the WWE, reminding everyone that the Rotunda family legacy was alive and evolving. Behind the cameras, Mike wasn't just their father, he was their mentor. He taught them the discipline, humility, and respect that defined his own career. He wasn't loud or flashy. Instead, he led by quiet example. Many say that the best advice Bray and Bo ever got didn't come from a producer or a coach. It came from their dad in the living room, teaching them how to tell a story inside the ring. But tragedy would strike in 2023 when Wyndham, beloved worldwide as Bray Wyatt, passed away unexpectedly at just 36. The loss shattered the wrestling community, and it broke something deep within the Rotunda family. For Mike, it was more than losing a son. It was losing a part of his soul, a creative spirit who carried his torch forward in ways he could only dream of. Yet even through heartbreak, the Rotunda family has remained a symbol of strength. Their legacy isn't just about championships, it's about resilience, love, and the power of family. But as fans mourn and celebrate that legacy, new concerns about Mike's health have reignited that same wave of emotion across the wrestling world. The moment news broke that Mike Rotunda had been placed in hospice care, the wrestling world seemed to stand still. Within hours, tributes, prayers, and emotional memories began pouring in from legends who had shared the ring and the road with him, Barry Windham. Mike's brother-in-law, time tag team partner, was among the first to speak out. In a heartfelt interview, Barry's voice cracked as he said, "It's kinda tough right now. Mike is in hospice. I love that family. It's just so tragic." His words carried the weight of decades to men who built their careers side by side, now facing the most painful chapter of all. Soon after, wrestling veteran Leilani Kai shared a tender message on X, formerly Twitter, posting a picture of herself hugging Mike earlier this year. Her caption read, "It breaks my heart to share that my friend Mike Rotunda has been placed under hospice care. Please keep Mike and the Rotunda family in your prayers. We love you, Mike." Fans across the globe echoed her plea, filling comment sections with messages of love, gratitude, and shared grief. Even stars from newer generations, some who had never met Mike personally, paid tribute to the man behind one of wrestling's most iconic personas. Many recalled watching Erwin R. Shyster, IRS, as kids, laughing, booing, or cheering, not realizing how much the man behind the character had shaped the wrestling business they loved. The WWE community, usually known for its fierce rivalries and larger-than-life feuds, seemed united in sorrow and respect. Posts flooded in from past and present wrestlers, sharing stories of Mike's kindness backstage, how he'd offer advice to rookies, tell old road stories that left everyone laughing, or quietly help someone improve their timing in the ring. Even without official statements from WWE at the time, the emotional response made it clear. Mike Rotunda wasn't just a character on TV, he was family to the wrestling world. But as messages of love continue to pour in, many fans are looking back at what made Mike Rotunda's career so unforgettable, and how his legacy still echoes through every corner of professional wrestling. Even after stepping out of the ring. Mike Rotunda's alter ego, Erwin R. Shyster, better known as IRS, refused to fade into history. For many fans, that smug, smirk, crisp white shirt, red tie, and those suspenders became an unforgettable symbol of wrestling's golden era. He was the man who made paying taxes terrifyingly entertaining. The genius behind the IRS persona was its blend of comedy, realism, and arrogance. At a time when wrestling was filled with superheroes and wild gimmicks, Rotunda's taxman stood out because he was the villain you might actually meet in real life. He didn't need superpowers, just a briefcase, a calculator, and a condescending speech about financial responsibility. Fans loved to hate him. Every time he grabbed the mic and yelled at the audience for being tax cheats, arenas would erupt in boos, but also laughter. He knew exactly how to push buttons, and that skill made him one of the most entertaining heels of the 1990s. Under the IRS name, Mike teamed up with Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man himself, to form one of wrestling's most memorable duos. Together, they created storylines that blurred the lines between greed, power, and arrogance, feuding with legends like Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake. But what made Mike truly special was how much of himself he brought to that role. In interviews years later, he revealed that the idea of IRS was part performance, part parody of real life, a reflection of the bureaucratic world fans despised, turned into brilliant entertainment. And even decades later, he never stopped being the IRS. Earlier this year, in a rare social media post, Mike wrote on X, "I'm back on X, and the books are still open. Some of you may have forgotten how this business really works. But I haven't. The numbers never lie. The debts are still outstanding. And trust me, I always collect." It was a line that instantly went viral among wrestling fans, a reminder that the character, the wit, and the spirit of Mike Rotunda was still alive and thriving. But beyond the gimmicks and the glory, there was something deeper, a man whose passion shaped generations of wrestlers, including his own children. Asterisk as the wrestling community prays for Mike Rotunda. One thing becomes crystal clear: his legacy stretches far beyond the ring ropes. He wasn't just a performer, a character, or a name in the credits of wrestling history. He was a foundation, a mentor, a father, and an inspiration to countless wrestlers who followed in his footsteps.